I was jealous of Karthi because Karthi's been an AD. So I cheated and I'm doing my dream character in this called Aditya Karikalan.
This movie is a labor of love.
As an actor, your job largely remains the same, which is to be as truthful and as honest with your performance. But I think when it's fleshed out a lot more, you enjoy that. Sometimes that happens in films and sometimes in a show. So I think it's some stories are beautiful when they're told through a show format. And sometimes I think some stories belong with the theatrical experience. So I think as an actor, my job is unaffected by that.
This is a wonderful film which all of us are so proud to be a part of. This is something that's happened like in the 9th or 10th century. It was then, and it's based on a book. I think Karthi will be the best expert on that, so I'll skip that part. I think all of us have very interesting characters in this, and I'm doing my dream character in this called Aditya Karikalan. You would have seen him on the horse. That was me. I don't know if you recognize me now, but that's me. And I've always wanted to do that, do a role that's princely and look regal and look beautiful. And how much more spectacular can it get than when it's done in Mani Ratnam sir's movie? And it's another dream come true for me, and I'm so proud to be a part of this wonderful film and working with such a lovely, accomplished star cast. Thank you guys for being on.
So happy to be in the capital. To be honest, I have frequently come to Delhi, but this is my first time I'm coming here for a film. And that means a lot to me to be over here, part of this magnum opus and sharing stage with, like Kenny said, some of the most accomplished actors. And to be part of Mani sir's film, to play Kundavai in this film. And Kundavai is a character that a lot of people have grown up reading. They have already visualized her, they already have been inspired by her, they have an opinion about her. So I hope that I have done justice to Kundavai. I'm sure Mani sir would answer that question better. And well, coming back to your question, yes, the jewelry was very real, head to toe. Even the things Kundavai or any of us wore on our heads or toes or ankles were all real jewelry, because I think that would contribute to the magnitude and grandeur of the film, which was very necessary. It had to be real to look a certain way. So, and yes, to also answer your second question, it was very tough because it took about 40 minutes to get into it. For both the men and the women, usually I feel the heroines take longer to get ready, but in this case, it was pretty hard for the guys as well. We were all up at 2 a.m. getting ready, and but it was fun because we were doing it together and it was today.
Amongst the many people who have tried before, I was also one of them. I've tried it several times. I think it is for a particular reason, probably we couldn't do it at that point of time. Today is probably the more appropriate time for this kind of a film because technology has improved vastly, and so we were able to achieve a lot of it with a kind of a realistic look and not like a make-believe. So I think it was for that purpose it was left behind, and we're glad that it's been a long journey. I mean, I remember reading this book when I was in school, and from then it has been a very inspiring book, inspiring everyone in Tamil Nadu who's read it. Kalki is the name of the author who's written this, and it used to be a rage when it was published as a weekly, and since then, over all these decades, it has been the best-selling book in every book fair and down south. So it is a very special book, and a lot of people have their own memories of it, their own vision of it, and they almost own it. So the only way I could do it is to believe that I also own it, and I've tried to do my best with the help of each and every one of them. All of them have put in everything, including the technicians who are all brilliant, and if at all the movie is shaped up somewhere, it's because of all of them.
I'd like to thank everybody here who has come out to support our film, showing us our love, and giving us your good wishes and blessings. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. This movie is a labor of love, and beginning with our Guru, Manisa. And when you just asked him that, and I was listening to him, and I've heard him say it so often, and he always says, I'm glad, he made it now. He doesn't know how glad we all are that he made it now. Talk about, he can say it is the right time, but for each one of us here sitting in front of you and everybody involved in the making of Ponniyin Selvan, we are very, very grateful that this is the right time. We surely have been in the right place, and with complete gratitude to you, sir, that we are part of your dream project, that we got to be part of this narrative on celluloid. It is Kalki sir's classic, and everybody in the South is very, very familiar with the books. And it's very close to everybody's heart who has read the book, the series of books actually. But when you discover the story, and you must, and you will, through both these movies, you will know exactly why. It is such an exciting, enticing, interesting, riveting narrative. And yes, it gives you an insight into history, and yet it has the magic of how and where it's been fictionalized, and that is why one can see why a filmmaker like Manisa would want to bring this on celluloid as his dream project, and how fortunate we are that we got to be a part of his dream film.
So from being an assistant director and then taking one small gap, saying, sir, I'm getting a chance to act. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back to you. And I went out with that word that he would take me back. Thankfully the film worked, and then my journey changed. I became an actor. But then again I had to come back and work with sir in 2017, when I thought I completely relearned everything. That's one experience all of us have as actors, that you come here, you unlearn so many things and you relearn things. That's a very important part of my life, where I got another push in the sense of the way I approach the characters, or the way I select films, or what kind of films I would want to do. Rather than running after success, you have to run after happiness, or what satisfies you. That gave me a lot of clarity in how I approach work at all. So I think the peace that I have, or the energy that I have to go to shoot, I think it all comes from Mani sir. I cannot say thanks because he's given it to me and I'm a student. But this film I think is too special for all of us. Feeding so many publishers till today. It's sold so much, and finally now it's being made into a film where it is in a format where we're talking about our heritage and culture, but it also gives such an engaging screenplay, an engaging story for all of us to watch about characters. So it's not a history lesson, but rather it's a very interesting film, and it's historical fiction. So there are about 40% of it which really happened 1,000 years back, and the rest is fictionalized so beautifully by Kalki sir. So we're all very proud to be just part of it.
The movie started and Manisa said, let's go. I said, so it's an Italian audience, let's just sit and let's just watch it. Then after another half an hour, I said, oh, we've seen enough of this, so let's watch. Because we'd seen a lot of shows, we've been traveling around. When the movie got over and we got up to go, and as they stood up, two couples ran out because I think they were late. Then the others started clapping. And we were, of course, overjoyed. The whole auditorium clapped and they were saying, bravo, maestro, bravo. And it felt so good being there. And we were standing there, and because 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and he says, are they trolling us? I mean, should we leave? And I said, sir, no, sir, I think it's genuine. Let's just wait, sir. He said, should we go? I said, no, wait. And you won't believe, I swear, I'm not even kidding. They clapped for more than 5 minutes for what this man was able to bring on that screen. And what was nice is, they were not influenced by any story. They didn't know anything about any of the movies that could have, any of the stories that could have been a background for Ravanan. They just saw the craft. They saw what he could bring about and how he could encase and showcase India. They loved it. And I, again, through their eyes, I saw what he saw. It was so beautiful what they saw, how they saw India. And again, you're going to see something from the 9th or 10th dynasty, the Chola dynasty, which was one of the greatest dynasties of all time in India. And the best maritime, the naval unit that they had, that was the biggest maritime army that they had. And they conquered all the way from Gujarat down, Goa, Kerala, China, Ceylon, Sri Lanka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Orissa, all the way to Burma, then they went to Malaysia, they went to Indonesia, and then they sent emissaries to China because he was so smart. The king, that's Rajaraja Cholan and his father and his son, they wanted to conquer all the ports because that's the only way. Trade was what is most important. Everybody had to pass through these ports, and that's what they did. And that's the story that we're showcasing in this, and it's so nice that we're all part of this, and it's so nice that someone like Manisa can bring about that authenticity, bring it on screen, and I'm just so sure you're all going to be enthralled when you watch it. Thank you, Manisa, once again for having us on board, and I was jealous of Karthi because Karthi's been an AD, so I cheated, and during this making of this movie I also was an AD for a couple of scenes, and gave me greater pleasure than being an actor, being an AD. And thank you, Karthik. He stopped beating the ADs, so I was lucky. Thanks again.